Join me as we hit the road and talk to business heroes just like you. American Business Heroes. Today we are in Lexington, Kentucky at J. Render's Southern Table and Bar, and we're talking to Gwyn Everly, the owner of this fabulous restaurant. Take a listen. Hey, Gwen. How you doing?
Hey, good. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me in today.
Thanks for coming down.
Well, heck yeah. This is going to be great. I'm looking
know.
forward to it. So, J. Render's. First thing I wanted to do is go back to the beginning.
Okay.
And there's a point in your life where something came into your head and you said, hey, let's do a restaurant.
Originally, we never wanted to open a restaurant. That wasn't even one of our thoughts. We just wanted to open a catering company. So my husband had smoked meats recreationally, and I cooked the sides all the time. So we thought we had good food and that a catering company would work. Well, come to find out, there aren't any commercial kitchens that you can rent in Lexington, at least not at the time. So my husband, started looking online and found this food truck that had a commercial kitchen on board, so we just plug it in at the house and we could cook there, it's inspected and all that kind of stuff. So we bought this food truck. It came, and then we were like, well, we have this really cool food truck, so we should probably take it out too, which was awesome, because what I didn't know is really hard to break into the catering. You really have to build a name for yourself and that kind of thing. So we started taking our food truck out, which was not easy because Lexington is not a food truck friendly town.
I see.
So we kind of created our own places to go. We would cold call and look at, go to offices that have a lot of people and no food around, and we'd ask if we can bring our food truck. So that's how we started. So I would also do a food truck schedule for them. So I scheduled my truck, and then I filled in with other food trucks in town. So they would have, a truck once a week. So that's how we started. Then as we gained recognition, with the food truck, our catering grew as well. And, we started doing weddings and, things like that. So that's our beginning.
Well, that's great. And did you have any hesitation about getting into business? Because I know that your dad was an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
So when you grow up in that atmosphere, you kind of get things and you understand how things work, and it's
Right.
not quite as structured as
Mm-hmm.
working in the corporate world.
No.
But did you have any hesitations with getting into business at all, or what maybe were some of your fears?
I guess at the time, I really didn't think about it at the time. I just decided that I wanted to do it. And I have said that my entrepreneurial spirit comes from Bill Nelson. So he did a lot of things. And I find it interesting because I've had a lot of careers as well. So I feel like I kind of take after him in that respect. And the fact that he did own businesses, I do know how difficult it is because of that, that you basically put everything that you have on this earth on the line to make it happen. So I didn't go into it blind. But I don't know. I look back on it now and I'm like, what was I thinking? I mean, seriously, what was I thinking? So, but it worked out, and we kept growing. So I can't regret it now, but I'm happy that person made that decision all those years ago, because it was a crazy one.
Yeah, well, yeah. Obviously, it's turned out great.
Yeah.
I've always felt like being an entrepreneur was more of a journey than it was anything else. And for me, getting into different things has been a lot of fun. It's been challenging, and you kind of feel around a little bit to see what you like the most and go with that. So yeah, it's definitely a different mindset to be that way.
Well, and I think that what people need to realize if they're thinking about it is the hours. You don't leave it when you go home.
Right.
You never leave it. You're talking 7 days a week. Ren doesn't take a day off unless we leave town. So he's here every day. I'm working from home thanks to this speakeasy that we're in, because this used to be my office. So I work from home, but I'm not like my husband. I can't go 7 days. I have to have at least 1 day off. So it's a 6 day a week job for me, 7 days for him. And that doesn't count, the events you do in town and the things, like we have an event here tonight. And, so you're out till 8, 9 o'clock, whatever. So the hours are long. The work is, you never know what's going to hit you on any given day. You wear so many different hats. It's just one of those things that unless you want to work really, really hard, you just need to stick with a 9 to 5.
Yeah, that's great advice. So getting started with catering and then the food truck, at what point did you make a jump to say, all right, we want to get into the restaurant business?
So we had done the food truck and catering for 4 years. So we started in 2012 and it was now 2016. At this point, I was turning away more business than we were actually doing.
Wow.
Because it was Ren, it was me, and it was one other employee, Andrea. So she was with us from the beginning. And we just couldn't do it. We just couldn't do it with the kitchen that we had, with, the 3 of us working everything. Plus all the other, things you have to do to own a business with paperwork and crap, all of that.
Yeah, the not fun part.
The not fun part, which is my job now. But anyway, so we started, or I don't know, it's another one of those, what in the world was I thinking? We needed to open a brick and mortar. So we looked for a spot for about a year. And, there were several things that I wanted. I wanted to be able to park the food truck and not be hassled, because we live in a neighborhood and every time we brought the food truck home, it was a big deal, and, letters and all that kind of stuff. So you know how those neighborhood associations are. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to be able to park the truck. I wanted a patio space. I also wanted a party room. Well, this one had, 2 out of the 3. It didn't have the party room. So, but tons of parking, it was in a great neighborhood. And so we ended up doing, this space we have now in Beaumont. So I think that we wanted to continue to grow the business. And also my thoughts were that we went into this late in life. My husband and I are not, 20, 30-year-olds, doing this. And it was starting to wear, the loading the truck, the unloading the truck, this, that kind of thing. So I thought at the time that it would be great to have, employees and help and open a brick and mortar and all of that. So that's how we ended up here.
Well, that's great. Yeah. Now, Lexington is a restaurant-heavy town, I think. Mm-hmm. Is that fair to say?
Yep.
So how did you cut through all the noise out there, all the different choices of restaurants there are in this city, to really get your message out to the public?
Well, social media. I mean, you can't run a business in this day and age and not have a presence on social media. Everybody has their phone. Everybody, you've got to have your website, and it has to be a good website, that can actually be found when Googled. And the social media, it's free. That is free, getting in front of customers, and not having to pay for it. We checked about ads in the newspaper. It was insane, like $1,000 for one hit. So, that was not something that we could afford or do starting out. So the social media, our presence there, it became my voice, and I did all of that. And we were in a great area, and the neighborhood was excited we were here. So they came, and, it was slow at first. I mean, you have to be ready to take time for your name to get out there. You're not going to open your doors and then boom, everybody, lands. So I think it's that. And then also this I get from Bill Nelson as well, is he was always giving back in the community. He was a volunteer fireman. He was a sheriff. He owned a business, that kind of thing. So he was always doing things like that. And I feel that I've gotten that from him as well, because our community, and it's really important, the mission of J. Renders really is to serve you good food and also to give back to the community in which we live. So, giving back and Dine to Donates and, whatever we can do to have an impact. We have a angel tree at Christmas for a family. We just have all of these different things where we're trying to do something positive in our community. So that, I think, coupled with, just good food, there was good food, there was a social media presence, and then also I'm very active in the community. I'm a member of Rotary, the Commerce Lexington, and the thing tonight is a Women Leading Kentucky group, which is very awesome group, empowering women, and that kind of thing. So I think that those have played a large role in our success. Is just, I don't know, it's who I am, but that people see what we do in the community.
Sure.
They like the food, they like our patio, the decor in the restaurant, so all of that comes together.
Yeah. Well, if we jump back to the social media, when you first got started on that, because I looked today and you have over 14,000 followers. That's amazing. In the first few days and weeks of social media, what did you find to be the most effective to really get going there a little bit faster?
Well, you always have to have art. You can't post and not have a picture of what's going on. So that's one tip. Secondly, you have to be engaging, just throwing something out there. I try to be funny. I think I'm hilarious when, I laugh at my own stuff, but I think I'm really funny.
Well,
but
at least one person.
I know. And so
do it, yeah.
I try to be funny. And of course I talk about drinking, like, I drink every day kind of thing. Of course that came later, with the restaurant, but
it comes later with business.
Yeah. I
end
own
up
a
drinking
business.
more and more.
I drink it. So anyway, but at the beginning, it took a while for me to get my voice on social media. And so in the beginning, it was very information heavy, because I, like you, we're not the generation that's used to this kind of thing, being out there in the world on social media. So it took some time. Now, what I will say is that I didn't think I would ever do it, but I have finally handed over the reins of my social media. And so Devana with Devana Inc. is doing it, and her voice is so similar to mine that I don't even think there was any hiccup. And she's actually doing better with all of the feedback and demographics and all of that information you get, and hits and the 14,000 likes and all of that.
Yeah, responding to comments.
Exactly.
Things like that.
Right.
Isn't it strange though? Because did you ever think in your life that you would be setting a plate of food down and arranging it for the perfect photo?
Oh, I know. Isn't that crazy? And I forget half the time, but
I never thought I'd be in a position where you're doing something like that, or trying to figure out videos, or trying to figure out what's
uploading this and that.
Yeah.
And I remember the first post I did personally on social media. It felt so weird to tell the whole world where I was.
Yeah.
Because we didn't do that. You lived, in your own little circle, and people didn't know where you were or what you were doing, and you didn't have a phone with you. And, it was just totally, I remember thinking, oh, this is really weird. I'm telling everybody where I am.
Yeah, I feel exactly the same way, because sometimes I'll put a post out and I think, well, maybe I shouldn't have said that. But then there are times, and we'll hop over to maybe around the COVID period.
Yeah.
There are times where you just have to stand up for yourself, and I noticed that you did that.
Yes, we definitely.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, we had some haters during COVID, so we had a lot of love. We our regulars kept us going. They probably ate Jay Render's carry out more than they ever wanted to, but they really came and supported us during that. So, but we did a tent, and we had people driving by, and we probably had the health department in here once a week because somebody called and said something.
Complaining.
And there was never anything to the complaint. And nothing, ever came of it, but it was already a super stressful thing that we were going through. And then to have that on top of it, here we are, we wake up every morning and you're wondering what part of Jumanji you're in, what am I going to deal with today? And, trying to get through all of that and navigate that, and then having people just tattling basically, or what they thought was tattling, they're telling on you. So, But you know, there was no truth to any of it. We did everything that we could. We followed all the rules.
All the rules, yeah.
You know, we tried. We were a team player and all of that kind of stuff through the whole thing. So COVID was terrible.
It was terrible,
Yeah.
and with any disaster, of course, you know, I've been through a flood and a fire and
Yes.
COVID, and the thing about a disaster is, at the given moment that it happens, you don't know what tomorrow is, because
Nope.
you never know what tomorrow
Right.
is, but especially in a disaster type situation, you don't know what rules, and the rules were constantly changing. It seemed like by the minute.
I know.
And
And
you had to
nobody
follow the rules and as best you can, and it really depended on the area that you were in, your customer base, your clientele, because I didn't follow some of the rules, but it was what our customers wanted by and large, and did have some of the
Right.
haters also, but you
Right.
you try to do the best you can.
Right.
It's like,
well,
come on,
and that's
people, give
what
me a
we're
break.
all doing.
Yeah.
You know, you do the best you can to try to get through it. And I mean, I remember when we got the news that we, you know, were shutting down or going to have to shut down. It took me about 2 weeks, well, maybe a week or whatever. I mean, to call every single person that we owed as a business and say, look, I just got shut down, you know, and it was great because a lot of the businesses, they made accommodations. And I think that was one thing that was really key was, you know, not letting the bills keep coming in. You know, if you're in the middle of a disaster, you need to be proactive and, you know,
Absolutely.
call and say, hey, can I have a 2-month, whatever, you know, that kind of thing. So I remember doing that because I was like, well, we are not going to survive this.
Yeah.
You know, there's no way.
But you did.
But we did.
And you came out even better than you were before, obviously. Okay.
Yes.
I think, and when you have that attitude about any challenge that you face in business,
Right.
you know that to me, the challenge is there to force you to be something better than what you were. So you just have to have that mindset, and then when you do,
I didn't have that mindset.
as difficult as it can be sometimes, you just
I was
keep-
like, are you kidding me?
I know,
You know.
but you keep positive and you grab another beer
Yes. Well, yeah, no, or a bottle of wine.
or a bottle of
Yeah,
wine.
that's
yeah.
me. So, yeah.
So what were some of the humps that you felt like you got over? Because in any business, it never happens on a straight trajectory from point A to point Z. You always have differences, undulations, and sales and all that. What were maybe some of the things that occurred that you felt like, okay, what we just did sped up the process?
Well, okay, let me think. You know, the first thing as a restaurant, Mondays are slow, right? A lot
Right.
of people even close on Mondays. So that was one thing that we did is we now have music every Monday. And in the summer we have bluegrass, so the patio will be sold out. In the winter we have Ben Lacey, and you know, people love to listen to Ben Lacey. So, I mean, you have to get creative with, okay, where do I need to increase my business or where can I increase it? You know, so it's looking at the numbers. Well, you know, hey, we could do way more on lunch. So, you know, part of that hump was, you know, we got over the hump of our Mondays. Then, you know, okay, how can we increase our lunch sales? How can I increase our catering? What do I need to do to go after more catering? You know, so all of it, you know, really, if you get everything flowing and you have the money coming in, you know, that is where you get to a sweet spot, you know, and then you look to, you know, see what you can increase and do better on. You know, so, you know, we have happy hour to try to draw people in from 4 to 7. We have dinner specials on the weekend that we're starting back up. We really haven't gotten back into them after COVID. You know, we just had a lot of turnover at the kitchen, so we're going to be starting those back up. So that gives our regular something besides what's on the regular menu. So just being creative in that way to keep it from being stale. That was one thing that we did on the food truck. You know, I didn't want to go out with the same menu. I mean, we had our core menu, yes, that didn't change, but we would have specials. Like this week we would have a quesadilla, the next week we would have a Cuban, or, you know, that kind of thing. So I think you have to be willing to mix things up to keep people engaged. You know, oh, I want to go try this. I really like this, that kind of thing. So some of those humps, you know, to build the business and get it where it's cash flowing, you know, I think we just tried to be creative.
Yeah, good deal. Post-COVID, did you see any changes that were positive as compared to pre-COVID?
Well, our carry-out business is still really, really good. So it increased.
Oh,
we
great.
do a ridiculous amount of carry-out. So it's awesome. The only delivery service we use is DoorDash, and then just the regular curbside. So that has kept kind of not the level it was during COVID, but it's definitely not dropped down to pre-COVID times. So that's one thing that kind of hung around.
Well, great.
Yeah.
I'll ask you a really hard question.
Okay, I'm ready.
What are you doing this week to improve your business?
What am I doing this week to improve it or to increase it? Improve?
Well, increase would be an improvement.
Okay. Make sure.
So either increase sales or cut costs or both, or.
Well, to increase sales, I'm doing this podcast with you. So you do a lot of, talking to people. I have a women's event tonight that's going to have 50 women here that are going to get to see the new space and have some of our food. So then that is like a trickle effect out. Oh, well, I'm having this, or our office needs this, and they see the space. So, bringing people in that might not, be in this area where your restaurant is. And then, tomorrow I'm going to Rotary. Where I'll network and talk to people, and actually Jay Render's food will be there. So not only the food there, but I'm there, that kind of thing. So, and I'll be able to talk to people about the speakeasy and that. We also are, the only print advertising we really do is Tops in Lexington. I think that is great for us. It's our demographic, what we're looking at, the people we want, to see what we have going on, do like Tops. So it's important to think about that. Think about who your audience is, who your demographic is, and, trying to make sure that you're going to the places to reach them. As far as cutting costs, that's more Ren's area. So, the man, he does watch everything really closely, and he'll, he's very tight-fisted on the ordering and where we get things to make sure that we're getting the best deal, kind of thing. So we make a great team because we don't have to do all of it. We can split up, the task, and, I can do the things that I'm, better suited for, and he does the things he's suited for.
Oh, fantastic. If you ask a question, a hard question specifically, and you have an answer to it, that's what makes you really good. Is that you sat back for just a moment, mm-hmm. and then it was bam, bam, bam. I've got all this stuff going on this week, tonight and tomorrow, and all that. When you started reaching out to the community, what were some of the things that were most effective? Lexington, Kentucky is a fairly large mm-hmm. town now, fairly large city. So what were some of the things that you felt were most effective when you wanted to reach out to the community?
Well, so you're talking about like donations and things like that. Is that what the question is? Or
I would just say, what had the most impact? I would say, what had the most impact on your community in terms of them feeling good about your business and wanting to support you?
Okay. So we are involved in quite a few things. One example during COVID was food chain. So we were part of when, everybody was out of work, we would provide meals that got passed out down at the baseball field. That was one thing that was a very positive thing. I think people saw us during a crisis lending a hand. We also participate in AVOL every year, and as time has gone by, the last couple of years they asked for like a 25% donation. Well, this year I did a 50. So we're giving back in that way. We're having our chili cook-off, our annual chili cook-off, on the 21st, and we are going to our nonprofit this year is URCO, and so this URCO is about strengthening and helping women improve their situation, especially if they're coming out of something difficult. So it's very women focused. I've done a scholarship with Women Leading Kentucky for someone who is going into culinary, that kind of thing. So really, I know I'm missing some of them, but there's a lot of ways that you can give back in the community. We will have, all of the Dunbar schools, they do dine to donates here. And so we give back to them when they come in to eat. We do banquets for them and give them a break, that kind of thing. So try to really help where we can while still running a business and not, giving away everything.
Right. You can't give away everything.
Right. Because then we wouldn't be here to give.
Right.
So
there you go. Where do you get your ideas from?
Well, for a long time I was in a vacuum, to be honest.
What do you think caused that vacuum, and then how'd you get out of it?
When you own a business, nobody really gets it. I mean, they really don't. Like, you got it, and we talked during COVID, and that was great. So, I really don't know. I just get the idea. But now I have to say that I have a tribe. I met these ladies through Women Leading Kentucky, and they'll be here tonight. And Devonna has taken over my social media. And then Jess, who works for Women Leading Kentucky, does some of the help with Devon on the social media. So I have started turning to them. Here's what I'm thinking. Let's brainstorm later. So, and it is just amazing to have people to bounce ideas off of.
Sure, yeah.
Because Ren, my husband, he just doesn't, I think we should do this, this, and this. And he'll go, well, I don't know why we need to do this. Although it was his idea. We did a dine to donate for Ukraine, and we donated 100% of our sales.
Oh, wow.
So that was actually his idea. So I must be rubbing off on it. But so, his brain doesn't work that way on creative. I have, our GM, Josh, has been really great because he's kind of an idea. He comes up with great ideas for, like special dinners and stuff like that. And he does contribute to that as well. But I am really excited, to have connected with these women that I feel like I can talk about stuff. I think we need to do this and, talk things through. So, and not be in a vacuum. I have no idea why. I mean, it took me a little while to find Women Leading Kentucky. I had gone a couple times with the food truck, but I was working all the time, and then when this became my job to be in the community, I started going to the events more. So that, that's, and I, had it, but just not to the level I do right now.
Any plans for the future on doing anything different, or just, you're laughing at me like, idiot, you think I want to back up and do anything new again?
Well,
but so what's in the future?
Well,
Just
the speakeasy, that was a big thing that I had always wanted to do. I didn't call it the speakeasy back then, but I did want the party room. And I'm so excited that we've been able to make that a reality.
So the speakeasy is your party room?
My party room.
Great.
So you'll be hopefully show a little bit of it, after we get through talking. But so, it's awesome. It has state-of-the-art, AV. We've got 4 TVs. And, the speakers are in the ceiling, microphone, clicker, all of that stuff to make a meeting go smooth if you want to have it in here. We've had about 4 or 5 celebrations of life, which was fantastic, and I love that they thought of us to do it here.
Yeah.
And then of course a lot of business meals and birthday parties. I mean, we really are booking it, and it's booking up for Christmas as we speak. So, as far as any other expansion, I'm getting old.
No. If you're getting old, it means I'm getting older.
You're older.
Yeah. So I'm not getting. You're not getting old. I'm not getting old.
At some point in the future, I would like to sail off into the sunset. Ren's 65. He's going to be 66. I'm right behind him. I'm at 56. Yeah. So the clock is ticking, and I'm not sure I can work Ren. I mean, the man, he's 65. He should, he should get to, retire at some point. So, anyway, so yeah, that's, I don't have any big plans. This was kind of my big thing, If I was younger, I would have ideas. I mean, I have ideas, but I'm just too tired and too old to make them
come on.
happen. Yeah.
Well, Gwen, tell me, what are the high points in being in business?
You have to wake up every day, wonder what the world's going to throw at you, and be ready for it. So, there are some days that I am like, oh my, if it doesn't calm down, I'm going to crawl in the bottle of wine. So, I think that if you want a smooth life with not a lot of this going on, being an entrepreneur is not for you, because you just never know what's going to hit you. Once you grow and you have employees, then you have employee issues that just add another layer, of stress. Sometimes everything runs smooth. Sometimes this one's out, this one's whatever. So there is always some kind of something going on that you're having to, go like this and say, all right, what am I going to do about this?
Sure, it's like a roller coaster ride, isn't it? And some people like roller coasters, some don't, and that's fine. Everybody's different, and you have to be a little bit of a maverick out there. You have to take chances, and you can, you can.
you're putting.
You can analyze as much as you want, but then you have to pull the trigger.
Right. And you basically put everything that you have on the line.
Yeah.
And you have to be willing to make that gamble. For some reason, and I don't know if it's from Bill Nelson, because he switched and did a lot of different things. He owned a gas station. He owned a TV sales. He owned a Radio Shack. He did a lot of things. He's worked in corporate, that kind of thing. So I must get it from him, because I honestly, the way I look at it is, I can figure out how to make money. I can sell a kidney, right? But maybe not at my age. But anyway, so I can figure something out. So why not give it a try? Try.
Sure. Yeah.
What you're going to fail, and you just regroup and figure out what your next move is. One of the things, I was laid off from Lexmark. You saw I was caught up in the 2019 layoff.
Oh, okay.
And so that was devastating. I was like, what am I going to do? We're going to lose our house. We're going to this, that, So I decided at that point I wanted to teach high school. So I went and did that, and was not for me. I think it's maybe my age, I'm not sure, or just me. It was just too much. I very much like things in order, and school, teaching is way more hectic than this, than a restaurant. The restaurant reminds me of it some days. Yeah. So, I just have always been willing to try something different and do something. So, you can have a backup plan. If this doesn't work, I'll go do this.
Yeah. So
you can always make money.
If you don't ask, the answer is always no.
Yes.
And if you don't try, then you never know whether you can accomplish it or not.
Exactly. If you had told me 10 years ago that I would be sitting right here with all of this, I would have said you were insane. There's no way.
Yeah.
Trust in yourself, believe in yourself. You can do whatever you set your mind to.
Heck yeah. Well, Gwen, congratulations.
Thank you.
You and Ren have done a fantastic job.
Thank you.
It's certainly a beautiful place, and I encourage everybody in Lexington to come and try J Renders if you have not already.
All right. And hey, our PC peeps need to come.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see a lot of Pelham County people, so, it's always good when I see one of their faces here.
Yeah.
So.
Well, thanks.
All right.